All right, let's talk about one of the most exciting and, yeah, highest paying jobs in tech right now, the cloud security engineer. We're going to get right into it, breaking down the salary numbers, what actually drives that paycheck up, and what the future looks like for this career.
So let's just get straight to the point. The big question, right? Is getting into cloud security really your ticket to one of those top tier tech salaries we all hear about? Everyone says demand is high, but what does that actually mean for your wallet? Well, let's find out.
Here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll hit you with the big, impressive numbers. Then we'll dig into what those national averages really mean. After that, we'll look at the key things that can raise your salary, map out how you can become a high earner, and finally, talk about why this career is so incredibly stable for the long haul. Okay, first things first, the six-figure starting point. Look, we know you're here for the numbers, so we're not going to make you wait. Let's get right to what makes this field so attractive. And there it is. According to recent data from ZipRecruiter, the national average salary for a cloud security engineer is hovering right around $138,500 a year. That is a seriously strong starting point. It really sets the stage for the kind of earning potential we're talking about here. But believe me, that single number, it's just the tip of the iceberg. So now that we have that baseline, let's decode what that national average really tells us. See, to get the full picture, you really have to look at data from a few different places and understand all the little details. And this is where it gets super interesting. You can see how different platforms paint a slightly different picture. ZipRecruiter is at that 138K mark we just saw, but built in, they report an even higher average, over 155K. Then you've got Glassdoor, showing a lower base salary at around 126K. But, and this is so important, they also show an average total pay of over $151,000. And that gap? That's usually bonuses and stock options, which, let me tell you, can seriously boost your income. Which brings us to the real heart of it all. What actually drives your salary? It's never just one number. Your actual paycheck comes down to a few key variables. These are what I like to call the "it depends" factors. First up, and it's a big one, location, location, location. I mean, this chart says it all. You've got the national average at about 138K. Then look at a state like Colorado. It's pretty close, right? Around 136K. But then you look at a major tech hub like California. And wow, the average salary just skyrockets to almost $158,000. So yeah, where you choose to work matters a lot. Next up, experience. Of course, an entry-level engineer who's probably focused on things like monitoring and responding to incidents can expect a starting salary around $96,000. But let's fast forward 6+ years. Now you're a senior engineer, you're designing security architecture, you're leading strategy. Well, your salary is going to be $154,000, and very often much, much more. As your responsibilities grow, so does your paycheck. It's that simple. And you knew this was coming, certifications. These are not just fancy letters to put after your name, okay? They are solid proof of your expertise. Things like the CCSP or the security specializations from AWS and Azure, they're a huge signal to employers that you have skills that are in high demand. Getting one of these can absolutely lead directly to a bigger salary offer. Okay, so we've talked about the what and the why. So now let's get into the how. Think of this next part as your personal roadmap to becoming a high earner in cloud security. You know, the path is actually more straightforward than you might think. It usually starts with a bachelor's degree in something like computer science. Then you'll need to put in about 3 to 5 years getting foundational IT experience, maybe as a systems or network administrator. While you're doing that, you're just laser focused on mastering platforms like AWS or Azure and all the key security tools. And that final step, you lock it all in and prove your worth by earning a top-tier certification. That's what really cements you as an expert. All right, let's start to wrap this up by looking ahead. Because honestly, in this field, the future isn't just looking bright, it is rock-solid secure. Hey, don't just take my word for it. Look at this. This is from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. They are projecting a mind-blowing 32% growth in jobs for security analysts between now and 2032. To put that in perspective, that's way, way faster than the average for pretty much all other jobs. So the takeaway here is crystal clear. The demand for these skills isn't just staying strong, it's exploding. So we've seen it all, right? The six-figure salaries, the absolutely massive demand for talent, and a clear path to get there. It really just boils down to this one last question for you. With demand skyrocketing and salaries to match, what's your first step gonna be? Thanks for tuning in.